Connected to Colorado and the entire Rocky Mountain region, you're watching Tube.
And the author of My 2-Year-Old Eats Octopus joining us live in studio to give you advice on how to get your picky little eater to enjoy everything. Well, if you have young kids, you probably have a picky eater in your house. They don't like green foods or won't touch anything new, can't stand spicy foods. Can it be prevented, though, in young children, or maybe improved when they get a little bit older? Nancy Tringali-Paiho, the author of My 2-Year-Old Eats Octopus, joining us live in studio this morning with a little bit more. Now, this, I looked at this and thought, this is really good for somebody like myself who's expecting, so I know right off the bat, you know, where to kind of put my foot down and what kinds of things might be more interesting to a child than the normal sugary, salty, snacky things.
That's right.
So why are kids picky eaters?
You know, there's so many reasons, but I think a lot of it has to do with parental attitude. And actually, when you're pregnant is a good time to start thinking about it and start preventing some of the habits that can lead to picky eater syndrome. Parental attitude about food is so important, and having a big variety of foods in your own diet can go a long way because you'll convey that to kids when they come along.
I know part of the book in the beginning you were saying one of your little boys, you took him to a restaurant, and I think he tried some seafood, something new.
Loved it.
And he loved it, and people are looking at you like, how did you get him to do that?
And that is the thing that surprised me so much and actually led to me writing the book, My 2-Year-Old Eats Octopus, because my first thought was, why are we so surprised? I love the seafood. My husband loved the seafood. What's the big deal that a 2-year-old's going to like it too? And
fresh, good, and healthy, they can still enjoy.
Delicious food, exactly. And yet people were so surprised. And I think that's the whole problem, is that we don't give them enough variety and we don't give them enough chances to try different foods.
That's interesting, because I said, you know, what do you have on the plates here when I first came over here? And you said, well, really, these things, these snacky things kind of all taste the same. They're processed, they have the same flavorings. Never thought about that.
Well, you know, and that's the problem. A lot of these are snack products that are marketed to children, marketed specifically to kids. And that's where you find a lot of the problems, is that all of these foods, even though the brands may be different and the names are different, they taste basically the same. These taste salty, these all taste sweet. Even when you start looking at children's cereals and things, they're all basically the same
You could probably do a taste test and not really tell the difference between a lot of those.
I did a very extensive taste test, exactly, in the book, and I realized that the flavors are the same. So if you want to broaden your kids' diet a little bit beyond that, give them something a little bit different. If you want them to start snacking, and of course all kids do, think about flavor and ways to add that to their snacks. For example, if they're eating the salty things, better cheeses. There's no reason kids have to have string cheese or just some of the processed cheese.
Or the fake cheese.
Fake cheese, exactly. Give them some really good cheese. Pistachios, nuts, dried fruits, things like that. Kids love pistachios. Mine love it. The flavor is so buttery, so wonderful. It just tastes good. They have fun popping them open. Same thing with the sweet.
And dark chocolate, you can still bring in some sweets. You just want it to be a little more in its original form.
Dark chocolate is more interesting, too, than milk chocolate. So these are all good things. Apples, whole fruits are wonderful for kids to eat. They don't have to be peeled.
What if your kid just keeps saying, absolutely not, ew, no, gross, don't like the color, don't like the texture, not doing it?
You're going to hear that. You're going to hear that. But here's where it becomes a little bit of a battle of the wills with parents. Okay, so they don't want it today. Great, fine. Don't make a big deal about it, but give it to them again. Don't swear it out of their diet forever.
Do you want to make this kind of, not necessarily a game, but make it kind of fun? You know, if you have a couple of these and maybe you can have one Cheeto, or do you not want to do that?
Well, you know, they're going to be exposed to it. When your kids get out and they get 2, 3, 4, they get on what I call the birthday party circuit, or they go out and play dates and things, they're going to have these
You don't want them to overload.
That's right. That's exactly right. So my rule is we don't serve it at home. But of course, if it's out, they try it sometimes.
Well, it's a really good book. I mean, I only got a little bit into it, but so far, a really good read, an easy read, and I think interesting for anybody who may have an issue with their kid or expecting a child and a little bit nervous. Now, the book, again, called My 2-Year-Old Eats Octopus, it is available now in bookstores. Nancy, thanks so much for coming in.
It was a pleasure.
Lots of very good, useful information.
I hope
That's
so.
what we like here on The Deuce. Thank you very much.
Okay.
All right, more useful info heading over to Chris Tomer.